Roddus here again with yet another video. Right, we've been to town today and we've been shopping. Okay, playing in the background is this Mayasai with Tommy Kinsman and his orchestra. The Pajama Game by Doris Day. Johnny Mathis' Greatest Hits. This is actually on the Coronet label. I actually like these labels. And actually, so is the Doris Day one. I've just been cleaning these. This one here is also on Coronet, which is a New Zealand only label owned by CBS. Understand that Coronet is the only label that has the hexagonal shape in the centre. Yes, CBS owned them. They were an offshoot of CBS, releasing the and maybe in Australia too, I'm not sure, but very early New Zealand label. Danny Kaye for children. Phyllis Diller, Laughs. See, what label is that on? On the Verve label. And some actual music. Janice Ian from 1975. Between the Lines. And Basil Brush. So, there we go. Ha ha ha. Okay. Those were the records that my wife brought. As much as I love her dearly, her taste in records is somewhat different than mine. But anyway, I gave her some spending money while we were in town, and she picked up those at Penny Lane out of their dollar bins, and some of them at another wee shop that we had a look at over in the tannery. So yeah, I went in today, had some cash. It's New Zealand Music Month again, May this year, as it is every year. New Zealand Music Month isn't something that gets the profile it used to do when it first brought out. It was, you know, really there to help promote New Zealand music internally in the local scene. But it's still, yeah, it's still celebrated, and there are still events, and there's a website and stuff. But yeah, anyway, but I just, you know, basically it's I take it on board, and I make it my month, and I commit myself to just buying only New Zealand music and playing only New Zealand music. And I did it last year for the first time after I bought my new turntable, and that's actually what really got me started on my New Zealand music collection, which is pretty much taking up all of those two bins behind me now. In the last 18 months. It's terrible, isn't it? Anyway, so today we went to Penny Lane, our usual place, but also I went to another place that sells a few records, and I bought this little thing here. I don't normally buy 45 LR records. You know, they're rather expensive for what they are. I mean, 2 songs or 3 songs. I've got a few behind me that I've picked up. Mainly I've bought some at a concert because they're pretty rare recordings of the band, and I've picked another one up that I showed recently because it was the last piece in a jigsaw of a record label local. But anyway, this is Connie Benson. That's her on the back. This is her only released recordings that I know of. I seen her live here in Christchurch last year. She's a young lady, but she plays a really mean guitar, and she does a rockabilly sort of music, and this is great. So pleased to have that. So in Penny Lane today, I picked up this one, Flesh Device. Is that up the right way? Okay, they've done one of these sort of flip them over ones. So this is their last album from about 1985, 86. This is pretty cool New Zealand punk. It's actually, I mean, I've seen their records around over the years. They're not ultra rare, but they are rarer than they were. But in the old days, I saw them around all the time, and yeah, it wasn't a band that I ever really got to hear much of. I may have heard some stuff on the student radio, because that's where I heard a lot of my New Zealand music back in those days. This is actually quite good. I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I've only listened to the first side this afternoon since we got it home, but I've been cleaning and polishing them up and putting them on, listing them on disc, adding them to my Discogs collection. The New Zealand pickings in Penny Lane were fairly slim today, and I certainly stayed well within my budget. Yeah, I mean, with the big sale that they had for Record Store Day a couple of weekends ago, there wasn't a lot of New Zealand stuff left, but they had a lot of really other cool stuff which had come in, which is a real bugger because I was only going to be, I was committed to buy New Zealand music. So I saw this one in the New Zealand bins. I've never seen it before. Had a look at it, looked interesting, had a quick look at it, and it was on Discogs, and I happened to know someone who had a copy of it, who if he had a copy, it gave me a incentive to try it out. It's on this nice bright yellow vinyl, 180 gram, nice solid piece of vinyl. It's Sal Valentine and Baby Shakes. I'm assuming that would be Sal Valentine on the cover. There's a picture of the band on the back. Now, it's a self-released album, limited edition, hand-numbered of 200. This is number 169. So you don't generally see stuff like this floating around in the second-hand shops just yet. Not quite what I was expecting. It's actually like a big band, quite jazzy, jumpy, so it's very old style. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Postmodern Jukebox, which is an outfit out of the States, I think, that do modern pop songs in a jump jazz, swing jazz style. Well, this is sort of kind of like that. On first listen, yeah, it's listenable, it's quite interesting. And then I picked this one up in the new arrivals bin. Never seen it before, had no idea what it was. I had a little look on the back, read a bit of the inner piece. Yes, it is a New Zealand band from 1985, the Wetbacks. This is their only record as far as I'm aware. They had a song on a compilation, which I remembered the name of that compilation. I remember from back in the day, although I'm not sure if I ever had a copy or had heard the compilation. So this is, yeah, it's very 80s. It's got a very 80s sounding New Zealand sound to it. It's not a Flying Nun particularly. It's more that it's a J-Rem release actually. No, it's not. Sorry, I tell a lie. It's not a J-Rem. It's a private issue actually. Yeah, I'm assuming they come from Auckland. It was recorded up there. Anyway, yeah, interesting, quite cool to have it. It's reasonably rare, it doesn't turn up very often. And then the last one I picked up today is this one here. This is a classic New Zealand psych rock album. This is from 1969, Human Instinct's first album, Burning Up Years. This is about a 2011 reissue on Sunbeam Records. Now, I have this on CD, and generally as a rule I try not to buy stuff that I already have on CD, you know, just because there's too much other really good stuff to buy. They had dropped $10 off the price of it, so that tempted me today. And then also, this is supposed to be an audio file or a very, very much better recording than the original issues and some of the reissues. And on my first listen, it actually sounds very good. I'm really impressed. I had a quick listen to the CD in comparison, and the CD sounds quite dull and muffled in comparison. But I had a copy. I had the first three Human Instincts albums, which are the ones that I'm really interested in. They did put out some afterwards with Billy TK. The first three were Billy TK, who's a really good guitarist, one of New Zealand's most awesome guitarists. He's still around, still plays. Yeah, those three albums I had in a box set from Little Wing out of Germany in the early 90s. And I remember that, yeah, they were pretty lo-fi recordings. And I think that was because originally when they were recorded pretty lo-fi. They weren't very good recordings, but the music was just fantastic. This album, I mean, the CD sounded better than the second album, which Stone Guitar's album, which I know is one that, yeah, frustrates me a hell of a lot because it is pretty raw and pretty lo-fi. But this sounds fantastic actually, and so now I'm gonna have to go and get the other two to get them all, because if they sound that good, bloody hell. This one arrived in the mail the other day. I picked this up off a guy on Facebook, one of the Facebook pages. This is the Black Seeds, their latest album from 2012. double LP. I've got most of the Black Seeds albums on CDs. This is the first one of these I picked up on vinyl. I mean, their earlier stuff they never released on vinyl, or they may have reissued some of it by now. This is kind of like, you know, dubby, reggae, electronic stuff. It's really cool. Now, I don't know if I've shown this one or not yet, because I can't find it on... I was trying to check which video I may have put it on, or maybe I haven't shown it at all, but if I have, too bad. This is Head Like a Hole, their album, their debut album 13. It's the first time it's ever been issued on LP. It was a limited edition of like 195 copies, and I'm bloody sure I've actually shown it before. It's on this nice red vinyl. This is awesome. Sound quality is pretty bloody good, actually. I know most of the music on it. I never had a copy of the album per se, but I have a compilation with most of that on. And as I'm speaking to you, I'm bloody sure I've shown you this record, but never mind. So again, New Zealand Music Month, and I've got quite a bunch of New Zealand music coming in the mail, and some that have already turned up. This one, sorry, I hope this doesn't offend anyone too much, but this is quite a graphic cover. This is Sarah Mary Chadwick, her second album, 9 classic tracks, from 2012, not sure. Anyway, yeah, this is much better than her first album. I'm really actually quite enjoying that. And then the one that I've been really meaning to get hold of for quite a while is this one here, and this is her last album that she put out from last year, Roses Always Die. Yeah, this is probably her best album so far. She's got better each time. Really pleased to have that finally. It wasn't a cheap one to buy. And the last one, no sorry, the second last album is the latest issue from Fishrider Records. Now, I'm trying to get most of the Fishrider catalogue, and I've shown pretty much most of the stuff that they've released on vinyl. There's some early stuff that I haven't got, and there's also a couple of releases of non-New Zealand bands which I'm not yet bothered with. So I'm really just focusing on a New Zealand one. So Elan Vital, Shadow Self, this is their latest, their debut album. This is kind of electronic pop in some ways, but it's pretty cool. They actually played here live last night, and I was thinking about going in, but I had to work all day yesterday and didn't really feel up to it. And finally, this one here I picked up at Penny Lane today as well. Now, Penny Lane have rather large collection of the sale albums for $5 each in the bins along the back wall of the shop, and they having another clean out of those, and they have them down to $1 at the moment. And I just was on the way out of the shop actually, and Lynn picked up several of her records out of that bin, and this one was sitting in there. And this is a compilation, Cherry Red, Business Unusual, the Other Records collection. So post-punk and punk from 1978, most of the stuff. The main reason that really attracted me is that the last two tracks on side 2 is Throbbing Bristles United, which I love, and a track by an early track by Cabaret Voltaire called Do the Mussolini. But yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff on here. Some of it I'm not familiar with, so that's nice, and some of the first 3 or 4 tracks on side 1 I've got on other compilations. But for $1, hey, I'm not complaining. Right, so there we go, another video already in the bag. I've got something like 5 albums coming in the post, and more in my wish list that will be getting purchased over the next few days. So probably another week I'll be ready to make another video. Right, enough of this horrible bloody music.